Welcome back, guys. March is here, spring is here. It's finally time to get out those mowers. You might be in the market for a greens mower this season. If you are, that's fantastic. I want to give you some tips before you go out searching. Also have a bunch of John Deeres here. I've been using the John Deeres for a few years now, and I wanted to kind of go over a lot of the common questions that I get with the Deere. So we've got two of the best in the game right here, Toro, John Deere. Let's dive into it. First thing you need to ask yourself is what is going to be your target height of cut. Once you have the answer to that, you'll know kind of what mowers you can eliminate and kind of which mowers you can zoom in on. So if your height of cut is going to be an inch, you don't want to go out here and get a Toro Flex with 14 blade, because it's not meant to do any of that and it's going to cut like crap. So maybe you need to look at a true cut that can go from 0 to a little over 2 inches, something like that. Now, I think real mowing, over an inch, you start to kind of lose that magic. I don't really know what it looks like over an inch. I would think you probably want to go back to a rotary mower at that point. The other thing, I kind of just touched on it, is the blade count. So I see a lot of people, the more blades is not better. Generally, the more blades you have, the lower you're going to keep, your cut is going to be. Like a putting green, 14 blade is fine. 14 blade, not fine for most homeowners. I mean, it's just too much. What'll happen is if you take a 14 blade home and you start trying to cut at a ½ inch or higher, you're going to see a bunch of marcelling or the washboard effect, where it's kind of just, the cut quality is not good. It's not flat, it's not smooth. So don't think that the more blades, the better. That's something you need to look at. I see a lot of these McLeans with 10 blade, and I guess they're, it's probably the same principle. More's not always better. So if you're not cutting super low, I would look for something like a 7 or 8 blade or a 9 blade. That's just my preference, but again, you might be cutting at a different height. So I like to skip the whole true cut phase, McLean phase. Not that those are bad mowers. I know people are going to disagree. I've seen fantastic lawns that are, true cut and McLean. I just thought when I first kind of started, for some reason, these greens mowers used to kind of intimidate me. I don't know why that was. I thought they were just harder to work on and stuff like that, but it's actually the opposite were true. I've had true cuts, and I mean, they were a pain to work on to me. I just hated the reel to bed knife adjustment. And then when I got my first John Deere, it was night and day. So if your budget allows, I would say, skip the true cut McLean phase, get something like this. Now, if you have a hilly terrain or you need the wheels and stuff, then sure, maybe put true cut back on your, your radar. And again, those are not bad mowers. For me, if I had to go do all this again, you bet I would have skipped all that and gone straight to a greens mower. I have no problem, turning some wrenches here and there, but I don't want to spend more time in the garage than I do mowing. So next we'll go over some of the features. I get a lot of questions about, the years and generations of these John Deeres. So I want to jump into that, and we'll go over that. So let me flip the camera around. All right, so my current lineup, I have a 260 here, a 220 SL, and another 260. And let me just start back here and we'll kind of go over some of the most obvious stuff. The 260 is a 26-inch cut, so it's 26 inches wide. I mean, this is going to be best if you have a much bigger yard. This is the widest walk greens mower that John Deere makes. The next one I have is a 220. It is obviously, it's 22 inches wide, so it's great for smaller or medium-sized yards. And this is another 260. Now, this is a B. I'll talk more about the differences in a minute, but it's pretty much the same as the other one, except this one has a groomer attachment. They also make a 180 that is an 18-inch. I do not have one of those. Those are smaller, 18-inch across on the reel. However, they are going to be best for your, smaller yards, or if you have a lot of obstacles in your yard. They're lighter and easier to maneuver. The 260 is going to be a lot harder. You know, if you're mowing around a bunch of, you know, I don't know, playground sets and tree beds and stuff like that, you don't, you know, in a small yard, the 260 is heavy. So I'm going to put an infographic up on the screen. Now, the way the letters go is A, well, actually before A being the oldest, they had, the order goes A, B, C, and then SL is the newer generation along with the E-cut. So the SLs are the newest generation along with the E-cut, and then there is not much difference between all of these, okay? The SL is, you know, it stands for speed link, and what it gives you the ability to do is basically it's a little bit easier when you're adjusting the height of cut. You can just put a drill here, and it's got a linkage bar, so you can you know, it's a little bit faster to adjust your height of cut. I have found that it's not totally accurate. If you know, if you put a gauge on there, it will get off, you know, 1/1000th of an inch or so, and I still usually have to go back and fix it. So it's, you know, I don't know how I feel about it, but it is convenient to do if you need to drop it, you know, a lot, I'd say. A well taken care of older unit, you know, like a C or a B, I mean, just go for it. There's nothing wrong with those. These things will last a lifetime if they've been taken care of. I mean, they run Honda engines, and those are pretty much bulletproof, so that's another thing I like. You have your 220 right here. This bad boy is weighing in about 220 pounds. The 260 weighs 236 pounds. Another reason I like these is the maintenance is fairly easy. I mean, all I really do on mine, I do change the gear oil or transmission oil. It doesn't call to do that often, but if I buy one used, you know, I may not know what's really been done to it, so I do that. That's very easy to do. You're just gonna take this bolt out right here and pull this lever up, and you can refill it with high guard in there. The engine oil on these is also extremely easy. You got a drain port back there, and you can fill it back up with oil very easily. And then they have two belts here that you can change. They never wear out. I've never had one break. I hear people, you know, they last a lifetime for most people, but if you do get one that's in bad shape, it's not a big deal. And then you do have chains here, and I mean, occasionally one of those, I have had one of those break, but again, it wasn't a big deal. So I guess my thoughts, again, if you have a big yard, you know, this is 2,500 square feet right here. All of these sections are, and I run the 260. I mean, it makes quick work of it. I love the Fat Daddy stripes it lays down, and I like the weight on it. The 220, sometimes it will, you know, it can kind of want to come back a little bit. Not really so much wheelie, but it will, you know, it's got a little bit more, you know, pull back here. Whereas the 260s, they're a lot more, I guess, kind of centered. They don't feel like they tip back nearly as much. This one especially, it has the groomer attachment, and that even adds more weight up front. So, I mean, this is really, the 260s just feel a lot more solid to me all the way around. So I like the weight of them. However, if I had a smaller yard, then it's not something I'm gonna want to be slinging around. So I would recommend any of the John Deere's. You know, look at the reel, you know, look at the bed knife. But I mean, they're all just phenomenal machines. I've got nothing bad to say about them. This is really what I'm gonna be running this year. This is a Toro. I have zero experience with a Toro, so this is gonna be my first go at it. I'm pretty stoked. This is a setup I wanted. Now, this is an 8-blade reel, so it does not, you know, these do typically come with 14-blade reels. I don't mow at putting green height, so a 14-blade reel on this unit wouldn't do me much good. This is my preferred setup here. This one's a lot less maintenance. It doesn't even have zerks or grease points on it. Other than that, I'm not sure what all you have to do to these, because I just got it and I'm not very familiar, or as familiar as I am with the Deere's. But, you know, one other thing to mention here, if you have a lot of slopes in your yard, you don't want one of these probably. I mean, they have aluminum drums on the back. These dimpled drums right here that you'll see on some units, these can handle, you know, elevation changes a little bit better than like a smooth roller. This one has a smooth roller. I like the dimpled drum. This one also has a dimpled drum. And there's also something called life tape that I've seen some people putting around the drum to help with slipping and things like that. So just maybe something to check out. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions about any of these that I might be able to answer, always drop me a line. If you guys got any value out of this, please hit that subscribe button. It does help motivate me to come out here and make these videos. And I'll see you guys in the next one.